Hello, sisters and listeners. Welcome back to another week of the Dare to Try podcast. Last week's Dare was a fun one. It was a challenge on creativity. So create for creation's sake. We pretended we were artists or sculptors or songwriters, and we all went down a different path to express our creativity. So who wants to share first?
Me, I do. I'll go. So I kind of cheated because I have a super creative husband. He knows how to do anything and everything, and if he doesn't know, he can learn in about 10 seconds. So I used him to my advantage. I came up with this idea. It's the end of the lacrosse season, and I wanted to give a gift to the head coach. And turns out that I could find there aren't miniature lacrosse goals that you could fit a ball in. And we have a 3D printer that we just got recently. And so I kind of came up with this idea, used my husband, and he printed off this miniature goal. And then I just have to string it. And on the ball, we're going to have the ball sitting in it. And it's going to say, thanks to you, we have reached our goals.
Oh, that's so cute.
So it was my idea with his brains, and so we came together. But it was a cool experience because, I mean, that is actually one of the main reasons why I wanted to marry Caden, is because I have all of these inventions and creations in my mind, and I'm not intelligent enough to use a 3D printer or anything like it. So I'm so glad that he has the patience to deal with that and to deal with me and my ideas. And then actually the really fun thing that I got to do was I tapped into my inner child and played imagination with my 3-year-old. It was so fun. She got the little unicorns and ponies that she got from her grandma, and actually from Anike's birthday party for Anders. And we used all.
She took all of them.
Yes, she did. And I didn't get mad because it just added to our collection. I love little things that match. And so we put them all together and we matched up the colors and we got our little blocks, and we created a playground and swing sets and slides and all these little things. And she gave names to all of them. And it was just so fun to like actually get into it. Normally I'm just like, oh, good job, or I'll do a little voice for her. But I got really into it, and I haven't done that since like elementary school. It felt fun. It was fun.
I love that you use this time not only to create a gift for the head coach, which by the way, I'm pretty sure he listens. So spoiler alert, and to play with your little one. I think often we forget that play is a form of creativity. So well done, Johanna. Did you learn anything else about yourself during this process?
You know, I learned that I miss doing more creative things. I mean, you know, when we grew up with, you know, as kids, I invented the smartphone. You guys know this, right?
Oh, I tell that story all the time.
And the back scratcher with like the extending thing.
Yes, those are my inventions, but someone took them from me. Yeah, I invented those when I was 6. But my smartphone, not only was it a miniature computer that I could go onto, you know, Barbie.com and play my games, but it also had a pocket knife in it. That is yet to be invented, folks. Just so you know.
That's true. Let's call Apple. Let's let them know that the new iPhone 15 needs to have a pocket knife.
I bet it could just be like in a phone case, like a push out knife or something with like built in a case. I bet Caden can make that idea come true.
Yeah, I love him.
That's good.
I love that. Well done. I also went kind of a different route with this dare. I initially wanted to paint. I don't paint enough. I have a huge suitcase of paints. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to paint up canvases. Let's go. But every time I went to sit down to pull out my supplies, I had something else that needed my attention. I got a call for work. I realized I hadn't eaten for 8 hours and should eat something. I have a yoga class to prep for, or it's already 9:30 and I need to get ready for bed because I wake up early to do Krav Maga. And so every time I wanted to sit and paint, something came up. So I decided, okay, I'll draw. There's less setup, less turnaround time. And I still did not get to complete any drawing. So I did force myself to sit down on Sunday and start doodling, but I wasn't able to really create the way I wanted. Now, what I did do in this dare, though, was it kept me in a creative mindset. So I felt like there were some unique problems that popped up during this week, and I found creative solutions, or I was more open to what the experience was instead of what I wanted the experience to be. So one of the things was I went away this weekend with some friends to celebrate basically my brother-in-law's 30th birthday. And one of the guests that came was a 6-year-old boy. And it was a lot of fun to have this kid in the house because he's playing and he wants to, everything's fun. And he came up to me and was like, Bretagne, do you have the green suckers? I saw that you had green suckers in your bag. And I couldn't remember where I put them. And I said, well, we can get the green suckers, but we're going to have to go on a scavenger hunt to find them because I didn't know where they were. And he was like, okay. And so I was like, but before we go on this mission, we need names. We need code names. And he's like, okay, well, then I am AK-47 Ninja or something. And I was like, okay, I'll be Krav Maga Ninja. And even though we're in the middle of this, like, adult party, having fun, I let myself be open to the possibility of just playing with this kid and going on the scavenger hunt instead of saying, no, I don't know where the lollipops are, or just go find them, and actually had this creative role playing with him, which was so much fun. And then the other thing that I did, was, coming back from the weekend, I really wanted to set the tone for the week. And I listened to a podcast or a motivational message every day. And the one I listened to today it's called Daily Motivations. And the episode is the #1 billionaire habit. And it has sound clips from Mel Robbins. And Mel Robbins, which we all love, talked about the success habit of most successful people is creative visualization. And she said what we have often talked about, that your brain doesn't know the difference between thinking about something and doing something. So if you take the time to visualize what you're going to do, you start to create that muscle memory in your brain. So this morning I did meditate and did a visualization process so that I could picture my perfect day, even though I was tired from the weekend, even though I had a ton of things to do. And so those were kind of the ways that I went about this dare this week.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's
love that.
awesome. Yeah, it's cool because these dares always help us to open up our bodies and our minds and our experiences to what that dare is about, like the be inclusive dare, or when we needed to serve someone or buy something to spoil ourselves. It's our mindset the whole week is thinking about that dare, which then invites other opportunities and other things that we wouldn't have thought of to do. And so whether you actually got to paint or draw like you wanted to, you were still in that mindset. And so you still got something out of this dare. And that's why we're doing what we do, because we are doing things every single week that we wouldn't have otherwise done.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So with that, Anike, how did you do this week?
Okay, so I wanted to paint. I don't know why, because I'm not a painter. And I thought, well, I've painted some things in the past, but they've never been good. I wanted to paint and it just wasn't, but I kept like procrastinating it. And I did some things with the kids. They made some gifts for Dan for his birthday this weekend, which was awesome. But then I thought, I really want to be creative in the way that I like to be creative. And that's through writing, poetry, singing. So I thought I was going to play guitar, and I never actually pulled out my guitar, but I did a lot of singing in the car. Instead of listening to a podcast on my 25-minute commute, I was belting it in the car and making up songs about who knows what. And so that was fun. But then I sat down and thought, I really want to do a poem. I haven't done a poem in a while, and I have no reason to do it because my challenge was to do something without a purpose, because I always want to have a purpose to do it. So I thought the thing that I would have the most fun doing creatively is a poem, for no reason except because I like it. So I brought it with me. I wrote it down. I typed it up. So I'm just going to read it to you. It's similar to my slam poems that I've done in the past, but it's also a little different. It's kind of silly, but then it also is raw and vulnerable. So here it goes. We met by chance on that night I took a stance to stand up for the children. There were a small group there, and the bands finished early, and you showed up late with another girl. I caught you staring at me, though, and as we spoke, that girl you brought was just a joke. She was your wing woman to help you meet your ring woman. The very next day, you invited me to go downtown, and you showed up late with another girl. So I took the back seat, but it was all part of your plan. I asked you, do you prefer Danny or Dan? We saw each other more and more, and on our first date, I walked you to your door. I giggled and guffawed as you looked in awe when I said, I really want to kiss you right now. But before you could make a move, I mumbled and trembled a little more embarrassed, hoping you wouldn't notice when you grabbed my hand and said, let's practice. Fast forward 4 weeks when we listened to this song. I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of your heart. Your heart, I loved to hear it beat. It beat faster as we touching you. Yeah, you're touching me. Yeah, you knew how to touch me. Therefore, I dubbed you Danger Dan. You then asked me to be your girlfriend. Unsure, I said, sure. That didn't deter you. You didn't give up on us. It was December when we rolled in the sparkling snow in the neighbor's yard. When I thought you'd kiss me, instead, you shoved a snowball to my lips. That night, you said, I love you. I replied with, how do you know? Well, I don't know. He said, that's okay. Let's practice. For the next several months, I called every single person I knew because I needed to know, what is love? How do you know? How does it show? How does it grow? Does it involve Cupid and an arrow? Desperate for answers, I simply just decided our love wasn't one-sided. So I confided, I love you. He pulled out a ring and knelt on both knees because I'm a 2-knee proposal kind of girl. For 4 more months, we dreamed of the day when we wouldn't have to say goodnight. Then it was the night, the best night of my life. Fire, frets, and friends met us barefoot in the park. On the day I said I do, we danced and laughed again as we sang, I believe in a thing called love. The night we knew we would be touching you. But there was one more thing you wanted to sing. To my surprise, you were the one behind the mic, and you said, when I look into your eyes, it was like watching the night sky or a beautiful sunrise. My eyes were smiling. My whole body was smiling. All I felt was you and me in that moment. No one else was there. Now, before I say we lived happily ever after, I must interject. Marriage isn't like the movies. Because there aren't any movies about marriage. They are all about the story leading up to it. What could go wrong, I thought. You sang to me at our party, and you're not a performer. You love me, I love you. All you need is love. Do, 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 do. Very quickly, we were proven wrong. Love is not enough. All of a sudden, our childhood traumas created these marital dramas. There were fights, there were silence, and verbal violence. Resentment and regret created imbalance. There were times we both wanted to leave, and I knew I was brave if I did, but I also knew I was brave if I stayed. because there was also resilience and persistence. When we wanted to run, we remembered our vows and continued to vow hand in hand. I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. We brought a beautiful son into this world, and he really was our world. And the way you looked at me as if I were some kind of badass birth warrior, mama goddess, love of your life. Depression, deep postpartum depression plagued our lives. Living with it made being a mom not worth it. That's how I felt. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know who I was. You were patient, not perfect, but patient. And you told me, when you're needing your space to do some navigating, I'll be here patiently waiting to see what you find. I did do some finding. I found myself. I found the girl that got lost and loosened the grip the patterns of pain held on me, and the storm ceased. So did we live happily ever after? Only time will tell. But for now, we are still a duet, holding on to the words, I won't give up on us. That's it.
Oh my gosh.
Good.
Tears. I am so impressed with not only your ability to accept this challenge, but your ability to write in such a way that invokes such deep feeling. Even if I didn't know you, even if I wasn't with you through so many of these times and memories, I felt so there and present in your story. And I commend you so much for sharing your story, that vulnerability and that creativity of expression. That is one of the most beautiful pieces of art I have ever heard. And I'm just so grateful that this dare could help encourage you to write that.
Thank you.
I
It means a
love
lot.
I love your poem because first off, I do the same thing. I connect a song to every situation in my life. And I am singing all the time and people are just looking at me most of the time. But music is so impactful. So I love that you put music into your poem. I also love it because I can relate so much to it. You and I only got married a year apart from each other and had a kid a year apart from each other. And so I totally understand the depression that comes with having a kid and the struggles and figuring out like who you are. And I am sure, I know there are other moms out there who go through the same thing. And the struggles of, finding your partner, and the dating is so fun. It's like a movie when you're dating each other. Everything is like a movie, even if it's not like any other movie you've seen. And then all of a sudden you commit to each other, whether you move in or you get married, but you're somehow forever committed to each other. Real struggles come in. And holy crap, did you really paint that picture? And it was so relatable. I love it. I loved every part of it.
Thank you. It definitely brought in a lot of emotion, like thinking about Dan in those early days and then thinking about the hard times, and literally that song, he really did sing to me that song and at our wedding, and it comes up all the time and it feels like a vow. It feels like our vow is that Jason Mraz song, that we're not giving up on each other and we're both too stubborn like to be the one that gives up. So like we're just gonna keep like working at it, and it's just becoming more and more beautiful. And like we have these glimpses of moments where we can like read each other's minds, or we know how each other's feeling, and no, it's not that like exciting what's it called, like the fireworks at the beginning, and sometimes there are fireworks, but it evolves. Marriage evolves, and relationships evolve into something deeper than fireworks that can be even more beautiful. And so that's kind of where we're going, and it's a beautiful thing. And so I was really grateful for this challenge because it helped me be vulnerable, because I'm not normally.
I'm really proud of you, Anike. Thank you so much for sharing that. Can I ask you, are you planning on sharing this with Dan?
Yeah, I probably should.
Just share this episode with him. Be like, hey, have you heard this episode? But you should listen.
Yeah, I think if I share it to him, I'll probably for sure cry. Like I'm on the verge of tears now, but I'll probably like for sure cry, and it'll be hard to get through the singing part.
You did a wonderful job and you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, well, I'm so glad that we did this dare, and I'm excited for the next one. Johanna, I believe you have the next dare.
I do. So this coming dare is about forgiving and moving on. And so the challenge is finding what or who you need to forgive. And so come back next week and listen to our stories and what steps each of us took to forgive and to move on.
Beautiful. I'm up for that.
Implying that we have steps. But we will. At least Bretagne will.
I actually am well versed in forgiveness. I had to be. So I'm excited to dig deep and share more of my story and see this next week if there's something that I'm holding on to that I need to let go. So thank you so much, Johanna. This is a wonderful dare.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Okay, listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for listening. We are the Dare to Try podcast, and we dare you to try.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.